organizer, are you expecting a big crowd?
Sorry, Dato' Lim?
How many people you are expecting, Chris?
We have around 60 participants registering, and inside the WhatsApp group we have around 200. But it's a Saturday morning and then we expect them to come later.
Alright, okay.
Hello, Arden. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to double check the background that you sent.
Morning.
Do we need to shift it? Because I thought my background is on the other way around.
Oh, it is like that. You can see it, because when you use Microsoft Teams, it's mirroring. So, but you can see it correctly.
Oh, okay. So it is mirror lah.
Yeah.
Hello. I just arrived home. Can you take me a few minutes to set up my laptop and get something to drink?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Sorry.
You can, yeah, sure. You can take your time. We wait.
All right.
Joel, I just realized that the chat function here is disabled. Is that the intention?
Pardon?
I mean, the chat function in Teams here, it's disabled, is it?
Oh, if you are a guest, then the chat function will be disabled.
Oh, that's okay. So, but you are expecting the participants to send in questions via chat as well?
We will be giving a link, a Slido link in the chat box, and they can type in their question using the link.
All right, okay.
So by the end, during the Q&A session, they will present the question. You can look at it.
All right, sure. Thanks.
Dear participants, our forum will begin shortly. There are a few housekeeping announcements. First, please ensure your microphones are muted when you're not speaking to avoid any disruption throughout the event. Secondly, please play with the request control button as well as the spotlight button to not disturb the viewing experience of others. And last but not least, we highly encourage everyone to turn on your webcam to make this session more engaging. So please be reminded that this event will be recorded. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome all of you to the Alumni Forum. I'm Shiva, MC of this event. For today's session, the F21 has invited alumni from each engineering department to share their experience on engineering degree life, as well as their working experience with the freshmen. Before we begin our forum today, if you have any questions for the panelists, please type it in the Slido link provided in the chat box, and our committees will choose a few to be answered by the panelists during the Q&A session. Now, I'll pass the floor to our moderator, Joanne, to begin with our forum today. On to you, Joanne.
Thank you, Shiva. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joanne, your moderator for today's Alumni Forum. I hope that by the end of this event, we will all gain something new from each of our panelists. So before we begin, let me introduce to you our panelists for today. Our first panelist is an honorary fellow of the Institution of Engineers Malaysia, IEM, and a fellow of the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, ASM. He is also the past president of IEM and graduated from University of Malaya in 1978 with a bachelor degree in civil engineering. Currently, he is an adjunct professor as well as a member of the Industry Advisory Panel of Civil Engineering Department, University of Malaya. He has extensive experience in the fields of irrigation, agricultural drainage, flood mitigation, urban stormwater management, and dam engineering, among others. Since he has been serving for 36 years with the Department of Irrigation and Drainage Malaysia, DID, before he retired in the year of 2014. I would like to welcome Yang Berbahagia Dato' IR Lim Chow Ho. Next, we have IR Darmish Ardoshi, who is currently an Associate Director at the ECRI Asia Pacific Regional Office. He is engaged in various healthcare projects related to technology assessment, management consulting, and project development. He is also involved in delivery of an extensive repertoire of ECRI expertise ranging from healthcare technology consulting, strategic medical equipment planning and procurement, biomedical engineering service planning, patient safety and risk management, and health technology assessment. IR Darmish completed his tertiary education with a degree in biomedical engineering and subsequently obtained his MBA in healthcare management both in University of Malaya. He is a professional engineer in the discipline of biomedical engineering and an Asian Chartered Professional Engineer SCPE, as well as has completed a one-year Southeast Asia Healthcare Leadership Program with Harvard Medical School. We are excited to have you here, IR Darmish. Our third panelist is an alumna of University of Malaya from the Chemical Engineering Department. She worked with Samsung Display Sendirian Berhad from 1995 until 2001 as production engineer before starting working with Shell in 2001 and up till now. She has a passion working in projects, which leads her to hold a few titles while working with Shell, such as Business Analyst for GSAP Implementation Project in Malaysia and Singapore, GSAP Design Authority, Solution Architect, and Process Integration Architect. Not only that, she has also undergone several system application and products in database processing SAP trainings. Because of her good work ethic, she has earned herself several special recognition awards in Shell. Let us give a round of applause to Ms. Shredato. Moving on, we have IR Yao Chow Fong, alumnus from Electrical Department of University of Malaya, who is currently the president of the Engineering Alumni Association. IR Yao has established his own M&A consultancy practice, Durian Professional Sendirian Berhad, since 2011. Besides, he has been involved in Institution of Engineers Malaysia, IEM, since 2001, and currently is the vice president heading the Standing Committee on Activities Committee, as well as the organizing chairman for the upcoming IEM Invention Engineer 2021 event. Not only that, he is also currently the AER Head Commissioner and the Asian Federation of Engineering Federation Organization. Thank you for making time for event, IR Yao. And last but not least, we have a panelist who was once a mechanical technician in Philip Morris Malaysia and currently holding a principal consultant title that has obtained his MBA specializing in finance in 2010 from Putra University Malaysia and holds a degree in mechanical engineering from University of Malaya in 2004. He had also been recognized as professional engineer in 2012 and following his active involvement at international level, and vast experience in management, he subsequently had been recognized as Asian Chartered Professional Engineer in 2015. Not to forget, our panelist is also a registered energy manager with Suruhan Jaya Tenaga Malaysia and an adjunct lecturer for Curtin University in Sarawak. Let us welcome IR Tian Yung Fong. So for today's event, there will be a total of 2 rounds. The first round will be a forum session for all panelists, and the second session will be a Q&A session from the audience. Therefore, a reminder to the attendees, do not hesitate to type in your questions using the Slido link that has been provided by our committee in the chat box, and all of your inquiries will be answered by the panelists during the Q&A session. Now, let us not waste more time because I'm pretty sure the audience are eager to proceed with our main session for today's event. To begin with, I would like to ask the first question to Ms. Shaidatul. As we all know, we students are struggling. We need to put a lot of effort in maintaining a good CGPA each semester in order to graduate in first class. But the real question is here, do CGPA and first class really holds a significant aspect of the job?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me? You
Yes,
caught
we
me
can hear
on
you.
guard. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I would say it's an eye catcher. As an employer, of course, yeah, when you look at the CV, wow, yeah, it's a eye catcher. But it won't be, to me, it's 100% guaranteed in the job because other soft skills are more priority. Let's say if you have like 100 people come in for interview, like 50 or at least 50, all of them are first class degree and CGPA is very high. So what makes you different with everyone? What makes you different with others? So that the soft skills is very, very important. And then I've talked to some of my friends recently. They say that, sometimes I'm not condemning a high CBGPA or, all these high flyer students, but sometimes they tend to be very detailed. So, but during working, in your working job, you don't have time to be to be very detailed. Yeah. So you need to be more flexible. So if you are really every single little things you want to analyze and calculate, right? Sometimes you just need a very high level estimation, for example. So time is money. Yeah. So yeah, maybe the rest, my fellow panels would like to add. Right, that's my 2 cents. But by the way, just telling you, I'm not a first class degree.
Yeah, maybe I can echo what Pon Shaidatul is saying, that it'll be a very biased opinion because I just almost got first class, but not first class.
Congratulations.
Right? Almost, no, it's not. So I think what it does, I believe a high grade gets you through the door, right? It gets you through the door for an interview, at least a chance to meet with the people. But what gets you beyond that, what actually lands you the job is your ability to communicate, as what Pon Shaidatul said, but also your ability to showcase your skills, right, of what you can do just beyond academic performance. And I think in the real work environment, you'll be exposed to challenges, problem-solving skills, which you need to demonstrate, the ability to understand certain engineering challenges and present solutions. I think that is what will get you the job and retain the job, I believe. And later on, people skills of how you interact with team members and other fellow engineers within the organization, that is also important, because remember, after the interview you have the job, but you also have a probationary period, and that's where you demonstrate your other skills other than a high grade.
Maybe if no one to add, but let me just add a little bit. Sorry. Yeah, if you ask around, yeah, how you get into Shell, for example, there's a multi-layer of interviews. You have first interview, second interview, and then you have the problem solving, all those tests. Yeah, so it's not everything by the book.
Yeah, I maybe I can add a little bit here. Okay, so actually in my view, because I'm a committee member for IM Miri branch, then actually now there are many people losing their job during the COVID time. So most of our young engineer now especially in Miri, they are looking for new job. So when we discuss this, the CGPA and all this in our discussion group, actually what most of us, the senior engineer, what we feel is that, you see, for people or young people that come out for the work, during your maybe from 20s to 30s years at this range, you will require your CGPA or your certificate education level qualification for you to get a job. But then actually, let's say after 30 years, after you are at the age of 30, actually you're looking for a job from friends or from your peers, from your colleague or from your contractor or from your supplier. At that time only you can land into a good job, because to go to interview with all your CGPAs, good CGPA or certificate at the age of 30 is no more applicable already. So that is based on what is your connection already. So probably good CGPA can give you a good job, I think, in the entrance level at probably in the first 5 to 10 years. Actually, it helps. Maybe you join in a good company, you can take off faster, but then it's not necessary, it's a compulsory kind of thing.
Yeah. Can I just add on?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I think obviously it depends also so much on the students' aspiration. For those who are probably academic inclined and hopefully like to go into research or perhaps want to carry on with a master's or PhD, obviously certainly I think a high the CGPA will be very I would say advantageous in the sense that I believe a high CPGA and first class, sometimes they can be even exempted from having a master degree, can probably go straight to PhD as well. So depend, if you want to go into academic line, yes, I would say that you will require that. And but perhaps also some other institution that are focusing on more research kind of organization, they might probably look for that kind of a high CGPA. All right. Okay. Thank you.
So for me, I think I echoed what the earlier speakers have actually mentioned. For me as an employer, when we look at CGPA, it will be like what Engineer Tien and Damesh has mentioned. For the fresh grads, yeah, definitely we have to have a benchmark or something. We have to look at the CGPA. But when you go to a senior level or even experience level, it's more of your experience and of course your attitude and how you excel in the various years that you have actually been working. So that is where I think we look at the CGPA only at the first few years, and after that, I think when the interview comes to we don't really look at the certificate. We don't really look. Yeah, we know you have graduated from UM and all that, but we don't really go into details like, oh, you have a 4.0 and all that. After maybe you are going for a senior level position. Yep.
Okay, thank you, panelists. So we can safely say here, being a bookworm during your uni life won't guarantee you a job in the future. So be more outstanding. Do something that can make you stand out there among other people. You need to be the best among the best. You cannot be at the same level as people if you want a guaranteed future. Okay, so just now, Dato Lim did say if have a good CGPA, you can go to master or straight to PhD. So does the fast tracking PhD program encourage for engineering student? Dato Lim, what's your opinion on this? Dato, I think your mic is muted.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I think obviously what we need I always find engineers after you graduate, definitely there are two major classes, all right, two major groups, all right. I call it the teacher, the educationalists, all right, for those who probably need to teach and carry on. They are the teachers who need to, in a way, to carry on to teach students, to bring up students to. All right, or else we don't have any more engineers anymore, more students. So we need a teacher group, really. The other major group are the practitioners, you see. All right, so practitioners are people like who will probably serve with the institutions or government service, people who probably practice as a consultant, for instance, all right, or industries, we call industries player, all right. So we need two big group of people. And obviously, if you need teachers who come to be a teachers, especially at the tertiary higher educations at the university level, we need definitely, we call it lecturers, all right, and researchers as well. And that's where I think the high grade or CGPA and the high, I will call it perhaps a first class or second class upper honors will be very essential and beneficial. So I think we definitely need these two group of people, all right, balance. But we can take note that those who probably aspire to be academicians, normally that group is much smaller, and I would say they are more the scholarly type of people, all right. So we need both. So obviously, I would say that even for those who reach up to the academic level, I think soft skills is also important. Doesn't mean the soft skills is not important. Soft skills is important in every aspect of the the big spectrum of the industries, or perhaps in the academic world as well. All right. So my advice is depend on the students' aspiration. Obviously, there's always a small group who aspire to be right in terms of academic performance. That you may be very strong in that. By all means, perhaps you may want to end up as a teachers. When I say teachers, means lecturers or researchers at the institution of higher learning. Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lim. This gives me a new vision. So if any of you like freshmen, before this you've been dreaming of being a teacher, but suddenly you got an engineering degree, maybe then you can continue master or PhD to be a lecturer in the future.
Oh yes, certainly. What I mean is teacher means in engineering, obviously, in engineering, correct.
So you can come teach in University of Malaya in the future. Who knows, right? We never know in the future. So okay.
Joanne, maybe I can add what Dr. Lim mentioned. I think those who are going towards an academic focus, I mean, a high CGPA can also help secure scholarships and entry into higher tier universities. So I think if you are going that route, I think it will be very helpful. But one development I've also seen is the iCGPA concept. I'm not sure if you all have been exposed to that, but the iCGPA, where certain universities are probably looking at, where not only measures academic performance or how you do in your test, but in different domains. There's a spider web diagram, and it looks at different domains, and it kind of summarizes the performance of the student in various areas. So maybe there's something to look out for. I think as employers, we're looking at iCGPA, they will look at analytical skills and various other skills. I think you also are supposed to be involved in some social projects and things like that. So that will probably give the employees in the future a better perspective using the CGPA as a base, maybe an iCGPA.
I think having said all, we have to do our best. I mean, be a proud, make your parents proud at the end of the day. Okay.
No, at this stage, to the students, I would just advise that please study hard as possible.
Yes, hard as possible. Yeah.
Good grade. It doesn't mean you don't want to be a lecturer, or you don't want to aspire to be a researcher. So hence, you just want to relax and just get a class or perhaps without honors. No. I think that's my point. Really. All right. We want to encourage you to get the best score as much as possible. Later on, you can decide in which probably which side of the industry you're going to fall in. All right. As an industry, the player, or perhaps as a teacher. Okay.
Yeah. Perhaps I also like to add. I think in Malaysia, I believe the mindset is more of wanting to work and not to be like what Datuk mentioned, teacher, because teacher means not as what they call exclusive or even a career that people want to go. But if you just to share, I think in developed countries like Korea, even Japan, they have actually mixture of people in the engineering field, inside or even working hands-on, and there are also researchers and of course teaching in engineering. So these two, of course, in Malaysia we don't have much collaboration between these two. But I think when to move forward, I think Malaysia should look at also having the people in research and supplementing as well as also collaborating with the industry. So I think that's why for students, don't worry. I think while we move towards a developed nation, I think you need both sides, whether you are in the industry or you are in the research category.
Correct. So when you got your result, let's say a very good result, I think you have more choice in front of you. Yeah. So don't limit yourself. Do your best. so that you have multiple choices. Depends, because I don't like this, but you like teaching, for example. Yeah, so different people, different character, but do the best whatever that you have, that you do right now.
Yeah, certainly. I think, obviously, I think what the Saidapur mentioned, I think is relevant. Ultimately, it depends on the individuals where you want to land up at. Isn't it? I do take my batch, for instance. In my batch, we got 4 first-class honors, and all. I'm not one of them. There are 4 first-class honors, and one of them, we expect all of them to go to probably do the PhD. None do PhD. Is it? None land up PhD. And I will tell you, one of them is a successful contractor. He's a contractor. We thought the third-class people only go for land up as a contractor, but no, this first-class person, he's a very successful contractor. All right. So it depends finally on your aptitude as well, and your interests. Thank you. But nevertheless, he studied very hard and scored good mark. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think I just add a little bit here is that I think to study hard to get a good CGPA, that one is the responsibility of the student. So you have to do your best at this moment because you got no other thing to do. I mean, of course, during getting the good CGPA, you should enrich your university life by joining a lot of activity, then improve yourself. So this is what you have to do now. Then when you already get your CGPA, good CGPA, or whether it's good or it's not so good, when you are graduate that time, then you will decide what you're going to do. So it's not like we say CGPA not important, so then you leave it out. That is not our point. What we say is that as a student, this is your responsibility now, so you should get a good CGPA. This is your target. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a living proof here that even if you graduate with not in first class, you can still be a successful person. But doesn't mean you shouldn't try to get a first class. Because why not? Right? We are a student right now. We don't have anything to do. You're not working. So yeah, just focus on your study when you still can. Okay, so at the topic of joining activities like what IR can just not say just now. So my next question is to IR Dharmesh. During your uni life, you definitely have gone through a lot of challenges, work with a lot of people, and join a lot of organization as well. So do you think that uni life itself has prepared you for your early year of working life? And if it is, which program or event do you think benefit you the most during your uni life? IR Dharmesh.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question. So, yeah, well, when I was studying, I remember that I was trying hard to be less of a bookworm and try to be more social, because of my introverted nature, But I think I joined the engineering society within the faculty and also various other social, societies, right, in UM. And I believe those involvements helped me develop more of abilities to work with other people, develop interrelationships with and networks, which until today I still maintain. And those are the things that will actually help you in your working life. Yes, academic knowledge, what we learn, in our engineering subjects is important as well. I mean, application of engineering knowledge, especially in the first few years of your career, definitely it helped in the job. But other than that, it was supplemented by things that you pick up, like you guys, you are organizing this forum, you learn a lot about organizing skills, getting people involved, working with different people from different areas, bringing everyone together. And I saw your agenda was very well structured, the planning was fantastic. So all these are important things that you will actually bring over, when you work. So I would suggest, yes, not only focusing what happening in the classroom, but what happens outside. You try to get involved in other activities, and you can do it beyond the university as well. You can get involved in welfare activities, within your capacity as students, and that will actually help you see the world outside, how people really function in the real world. So yeah, I would definitely suggest, expand beyond the university.
I have lots of things to share, but I don't know whether in terms of time. If you look at me, I'm an engineering student, but I'm also a part-time dancer when I was in UM. You see, it's a totally different character. So those days, yeah, back in the 80s or 90s, we don't have a bachelor or a degree in what, dancing or whatever that you have right now in university. So it's part of the curriculum. But I don't know why. When I joined something that deep inside, I would say I need to join that department. I mean that group, yeah, as a dancer. It's a kebudayaan. I don't know. Yeah. So I was the Kusuma dancers before. But with that, but because of I joined that, it gives me confidence. It boosts up my confidence, especially when you have to perform in front of people. You see, I can talk to people like you guys now. And I have this kind of introvert, also like Damesh. When I was, well, my background, I was a KL girl. I school in Bukit Bintang Girls School. No more already. That's the pavilion. Yeah, already no more. Yeah, that's where my school is. Yeah, and I have people that because those days, yeah, in 80s, not many people live in KL. Yeah, so you can see professionals. Yeah, people that I would say my schoolmates are their parents are doctors, engineers, and they came to school driving, yeah, and they speak very good English, and I hate English. I really hate English. And in my class, like I'm the like five Malays, and the rest are, sorry, I'm not being racist here, but just to tell you that how pressure I am because people not speaking English and not speaking Malay in my class, most of them speaking English. So I've got this, that I don't have that confidence, yeah, especially speaking to in front of people. But that kind of activities as a dancer, I really need to step up. I really need to, communicate to people. I really need to express. Yeah, that really, changed me. Yeah, really changed me. And other projects. So once you get into that different community than engineering, that's where you got your networking, like what Damish mentioned. I have friends like lawyers, doctors, economists, or whatever, because you really go out than your circle. Yeah, really helps me. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I think maybe just to share, when I actually enrolled myself into University Malaya, I wasn't a really active student. When I was in Form 6, Form 5, I wasn't really active. I was just so what you have mentioned, bookworm type. But when I actually enrolled myself into University Malaya, I told myself, let's forget to get 4.0 CGPA. Let's do something different to meet up with people and get to socialize. And which is where I spent a lot of time. I was in the 5th Residential College. I think some of you may be from there as well. So I participated in the events, like for example, organizing the events, as well as also the Pesta Tanglong and so forth. So that actually gives me a new dimension where we in university it's not all about study. Take some time off to mingle around with people, not only in the engineering field. You get to meet people from other fields of engineering, like in the law faculty, in arts, in science, and so on. Because you never know in the future, maybe 20 years down the road, you may need to actually meet them, like lawyers or even doctors or even pharmacists and so on. So I think this is actually a good network point for students. So that's why when you are in university, you have about 3 to 4 years. Feel free to actually mingle around, network, and like what Damesh has mentioned, not only confine yourself to engineering society, not to say that engineering society is no good, but you can actually expand it to other societies, or even meet up with senior engineers like us today. I'm sure this is actually an opportunity for you. Perhaps one of us here today may be your future employer. So all these are a very good platform for you all to learn. And I'm sure I heard that today is all the first year students. So feel free to actually explore yourself. There's nothing that's permanent. That means you have to join a certain society, or you have to join a certain events and so on. But feel free to explore because you have 3 to 4 years to explore and grow yourself further in your career, in your future career.
Can I just also add on? Certainly, I think I echo the views of all the panelists here. It doesn't mean that when I just I promoted it, I went still on your that you have responsibility to study very hard. But obviously, it doesn't mean that it's always just all work in no play. And you're definitely encouraged to obviously to mix around and not just within the university, the civil, I would say, engineering faculty. Bare minimum, I would say at least be engaged with at least 2 to 3 society. All right, and since you're engineers or engineering student, obviously I think your loyalty is probably to the engineering society. Add is what I think Ms. Shatatu mentioned, and also the Chow Yong mentioned that go on to another kind of society, perhaps towards the arts or social science kind of discipline. And let me share my experience. I spend most of the time in the arts faculty and the medical faculty. I go to the medical library, and this time I go to the arts faculty. And I think we can mix around. So I think we involve at least apart from engineering society, at least 1 or 2 more other non-engineering society, perhaps on the arts field and social field. All right, I think be more active in that, and obviously I think that will makes engineers more rounded in that sense. We want you to be all rounded, obviously, ultimately be very rounded in the sense that those days we are always branded as squares. The terminology for us at the time was that engineering students are all squares. So we try to get out of this kind of squareness and be more rounded. At least the age are more rounded and curved in that sense. So I think my experience that as I mentioned, I was very involved in some of the arts society, and at the same time, I spent my time in the medical library as well, mixing with some medical students. So I think do that, all right? And obviously, we want you to.
Dato, you're looking for girlfriends in medical.
Yeah, my wife's from medical school, you're right.
That's the secret of all of us, Dato. That's the big secret.
Yes, my husband is from science.
The medical library is very quiet, you see. In a sense, very nice. The aircon is also very good, you see. But I have all right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, maybe I will share a little bit on my experience as well in the UM, because for your information, because myself, I graduated in 2004, and then my younger brother, which is 2 years younger than me, is my junior. So both of us graduated from University of Malaya, mechanical engineering. And then both of us, of course, we pursue similar path. Both of us, we get the IR, the professional engineer. But what I feel that although I am 2 years ahead of my brother, but during my university time, I'm the type that I don't join most of the social activity. I only join PKUM, a little bit activity, and then I study very, very hard. But at my time, the University of Malaya, they changed the policy. Actually, there's no first class. There's only dean list. So okay, I'm entered into the dean list. So I not join a lot of activities. Then my brothers is different type of people. My brother is the one that like to join all the activity, and then he not really study hard during the time when near the exam. Then he will come to me. He will ask for past year paper. He ask for the tutorial and all those things. So I have to arrange all those things for him. Of course, he is not get into the dean list, or he is not get into the first class honor. But during both of us, when we come out to work, I'm ahead of him. But I start my job in the production, Philip Morris as a technician. Because why I joined in that job? Because it's not require me to communicate with a lot of people. I only communicate with machine because that is my type during my university time. Then my brother is different. My brother, when he come out, he straight away joined into a palm oil mill industry, and then he become the management because he's outspoken. So after like nearly the 10 years now, so both of us, actually my brothers, he moved ahead in the management side higher, faster than me because he's outspoken. And then for myself now, actually, after through all these years of working experience, then I think you need to join a lot of people. Social is more important in improving and advancing your career. That's why I advise the student now, besides looking on your CGPA, please join a lot of activity, because I come out from the hard, I learned it the hard way. So I hope you all don't follow the same mistake which I made. Yeah, thank you.
You miss all the fun, Tian.
Yes, correct. I totally regret.
Yeah. So just maybe a little bit. So university life is when you are the age where you can make mistake. You are allowed to make mistake. That's where you learn. Once you in the working world, yeah. So that's more fun. People will scream at you if you make mistake, and then yeah, you know what I mean. I just don't want to go further. Okay, so do lots of mistakes. Yeah, learn through that mistakes during university time. Have fun, but don't forget to study.
Yeah, so there is a saying that we learn from mistake for a reason. If you don't make mistake, you will never learn, right? Okay, so this is a question for me myself, because like in uni right now, we have a lot of organization, which is like faculty, engineering desk, and college project, which is not related to engineering as well. So my question is to Aryal, since you are one of the committee member of the interview board. So if we put these activities, these non-engineering based activities in our resume, and we were like one of the high committee, will it improve our resume, or the interviewer would prefer engineering based committees activities?
Okay. Since you're talking about the interview board, of course, I'm a part of the interview board, just like I think some of Dato Lim and Engineer Tian and Damesh as well. I think we are PEs. So in terms of the interview board, I think maybe the perception is a bit wrong. Of course, the general criteria is you need to have 3 years of working experience, but the interview is not only gauging the candidate on the technical knowledge. So now the new interview requirements, we call it competency level. So they have 5 levels, and one of it is actually the interpersonal skills, communication skills. So if you can score like let's say full points for technical and of course the knowledge skills, but you can't score in communication, you can't score in by joining activities, and of course doing some interpersonal skills and so on. So you can't actually get the good grades of the interview, and you may not be able to pass. So that's why it's important to look at when you because the interview is not only looking at just one part of the engineering that is actually technical, but it's also looking at the skills or interpersonal skills, even the ethics and so forth. So all these are actually together. So there's actually 5 elements in it. So that's why again I have to stress, not only you have to study hard, but also you have to somehow know how to communicate and of course link yourself together in the society.
Okay, thank you, Ariel. So from this, I can say that during your uni life, you need to get out of your comfort zone. If you didn't dare to make the step, then you will be stuck there forever. You will not be able to improve yourself. So during
Because it's the same.
uni life,
Because it's
yes.
the same. When you go outside, also is the same. You sometimes you'll be given things that is not your forte.
Yeah.
So, are you going to run, or are you going to cry? Are you going to move forward? It's the same. Yeah. So that's why I said in university life, experience those, because you bring that character into the working life, then it will be easier for you to manage. And resilience, I'm not sure whether you guys familiar with the word resilience, is very, very important, either in as a student or in a working life. Resilience. Yeah. So for those that doesn't know what resilience is, go and check what resilience is. Yeah.
Perhaps I also like to add a bit more on what Shadatu has mentioned, resilience. So resilience as in the new term now, in the new normal, because I want to share this because I think I had an interviewee 2 months ago, because the new resiliency is actually based on because we are living in a new norm. So for those who are actually going to be graduating soon, perhaps it's not your new norm is not like what we had last time. When you graduate from the universities, you go to the office and meet your employers, and of course start work, and of course communicate with them physically. So now I think the new norm, I think the students have to adapt themselves to actually work in the environment of hybrid mode, where you may not be able to meet your superior. You are only going to meet them virtually. And these are the things that I think the students need to adapt in the coming years, because it's no longer the same type of what we had last time, where let's say you're going to meet your boss, you actually meet them and they will train you physically or even share their knowledge to you physically. So that's why 2 months ago, there's actually an interviewee, which really impressed me, because the interview is done virtually. So what he did a video, he did a presentation. You see, when you go for normal interviews, you don't have this. That means you go face-to-face interview, you submit a CV, you submit a certificate. But nowadays, I think the students have to adapt and, of course, innovate to impress the what they call your employers. What they did a video. They even do a presentation slides, and and of course, he even had a background. If you do an interview, let's say a student who goes to an interview, he may just give a backdrop of his house and all that. But this guy he has actually done something different, and that's why I say the students today, I think you have to adapt to the new normal as well.
Okay, thank you, Ariel. Okay, so I hope the attendees take notes on that. That is a very good advice. And so, okay, let's move to the next question. So, Dato' Lim, we are well informed that you have been serving DID for 36 years before you retire, and then you serve as a head commissioner at SPAN. What actually influenced you to work towards this career field? When did you decide that you want to work with the government instead of trying a new working environment, maybe with private companies or agency? Dato' Lim.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. What happened was immediately after graduations, I must say that I was influenced at the time in a way by I would say the civil service, the need of the civil service at that time. I graduated in I would say the mid 70s, and at that time I think the public sector requires a lot of engineers at that time. In fact, it's a time where I think the government took in a lot of engineers. They wanted engineers especially in two big departments, the JKR as well as the. Can you hear me? Yeah, the JKR, we call it the Public Work Department, and the other big technical department is the DID, the Drainage and Department. And I must say that both the director generals of this department went to give us a pep talk before you graduate, before we sit for the examination. They came and enticed us, asking us to join them because the government needs so many engineers at the time. I would say the major intake. So in that sense, I was personally influenced by that, and I would say that almost I would say 3/4 of our classes led up in civil service at that time from my civil class, plus some also perhaps even from other discipline as well. And majority went to JKR, about 20 of us went to DID, at the time. And the second criteria at that time, so this, I would say that in a way situation does influence us at that time, all right? The demand for us in the public services is there. And thinking back, obviously, I think I take it as also in the way I would say that it was a blessing for me that I have the opportunity to serve as a public servant in the public service, and as a contribution to the nation. Though we know that at the time the gaji or the remuneration wasn't that attractive, but we hang on, all right. The other point was also because personally I was also a state scholar, so I also need to actually, there was such thing as compulsory service. Two kind of compulsory service. All engineers by right, whether you're a scholar or not, by law we have to serve compulsory for 3 years. But being a scholar again, I think I had in a way a tie-in to serve either the federal government or the state government. So I ended up with the federal government. All right. So I think in a way I can say that by circumstances, that I ended up in the public service. Now, obviously, why I choose DID was because at the time the DID Director General, I requested to stay back in Kuala Lumpur at the time, because as a public civil servant, you are liable to be transferred to any part of the country where they need you. Whether it's a rural area, or perhaps an urban area, we are obliged to follow the instruction. And I requested for Kuala Lumpur, and between the JKR and DID promised me Kuala Lumpur, so finally I ended up in DID. Right. So that's how I choose the civil and the public service. But be the close department, once you are in, you have to serve until we retire, unless we choose to opt out. And why I did not opt out? Perhaps I do not have the gut to do so or to go to private. But lucky enough, upon my retirement way back in 2014, they feel that they need perhaps me to serve further in a different capacity. And that's why I was offered as a commissioner to work for SPAN. SPAN is a regulatory body looking after the water supply and sewage services. So I was there for about 4 years, all right, for a term of 4 years. At the same time, also assisting the Penang state government on some of the so-called advisory role. All right, so that's how I ended up with this kind of a job. Thank you.
Can I interject? What Dato' Lim mentioned a particular word about remuneration. It just reminded me about a viral article 2-3 days ago about engineers, in the news with very low pay. Yeah, I think I just want to share with the first years now. I mean, that article or that statements, I think, are not representative of the whole industry. I think it may be in certain areas where certain engineers get paid very low starting pay, but it's not representative. So don't be discouraged when you hear news like that, or someone comes to you and says that, hey, did you know about this? When you graduate, you're only going to earn this much. I know of certain industries which pay very well, more than what was in the news article. So it all depends on your focus, which area you want to go in, and try to be the best person you can be for that job. And maybe the first 2 years you may get a certain salary, but if you can prove your value to your future employers, you can go up the ranks quite fast, and your salary will increase. So don't only look at salary as one area to determine what kind of roles you want to play, but look at also other areas like long-term growth, and also later you'll realize job satisfaction.
Okay, thank you, IR Darnish. So we continue Miss Shaidatu. We all know you graduate with a chemical engineering bachelor's from University of Malaya. Yet you choose to work with Samsung as production engineer in your early years of working life. And you were assigned as business analyst for GSFP implementation project under Shell. And can I also know what influenced you to choose this path of career, since it have a quite different background.
Really, right? Very different, isn't it? Dancer, engineering, and then production engineer, and I'm doing something into IT, right? So that shows how versatile engineers can be. Yeah. So so it's like, I would say, like similar like Dato, the circumstances when I graduated. At that point, I already gatal nak kena kahwin lah kan. So I already back then already engaged. Yeah. So I need to once I graduate, and I married. I think 95, end of 95. After graduation, I get married. But anyway, put that's aside. But at that point, there's a lot of work. Yeah. Back in 1995, engineers is in demand. So is either, and I choose not, because I did my intern in Porim, such a boring, sorry to say, boring place in the lab. So I said, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And then my lecturer, I can't remember, was it Dr. Masita? I'm not sure whether she's still around or not. So Dr. Masita was saying, so what do you want to do? So I don't know what I want to do. And so maybe production, but I don't know what production is. Yeah, I don't know what engineers in production does. So there's an opening. It's a walk-in interview in Seremban, because we bought already a house in Seremban. So that's where I said, oh, since I'm getting married, we already have a house in Seremban. Oh, there's a walk-in interview, in Samsung. That's how I said, okay, let's try. Okay, I'm up to do anything. You have that spirit after graduate, can do spirit. Yeah, I'll go. So I do that. But when I was in the production, I was an engineer I practiced my engineering for 4 years, and then God bless me. Samsung implement a system called SAP. I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar. Standard, system application product is an end-to-end solution, and we can Google for SAP what is SAP is, and SAP is only big companies, million that invest in SAP. So back then, they were looking for SAP consultants, and very highly demand of SAP consultant. And I was pulled in a project because I'm an engineer. So the project, because it's an end-to-end process, it's SAP, even though it's a IT, but because it looks the integration, end-to-end integration, meaning it has integration with sales, with purchasing, with production, with logistic, with quality. Yeah, you have to integrate. So I came into the project as they need a business knowledge on operations, yeah, on production. So I kind of built the IT system based on what Samsung is making. Yeah. So, so through that, I work with a consultant from KPMG from Germany. So that's how I learned. And because at that point, I think I just deliver my second son. You just imagine, yeah. So those days, production line, CPT making. Do you know what CPT? I'm not sure whether you guys knew. You don't know, yeah? CPT stands for color picture tube. No more. We don't have that anymore. The big TV, nowadays we have flat screen. Those days is the big TV, yeah? We call it color picture tube. So I was an engineering, pregnant, with a color picture tube, 40-inch, walking like that. And I was like telling myself, I don't think so, for a woman, yeah, with family, this job is suitable for me. So I'm not telling you guys, but I'm telling you that I don't think that at that point of time that is a suitable job for a working mom. Yeah, and I need to find another job that probably not admin but on the ground in the office. Yeah, more safer. And being in a production line, you have to be being in production. You have to be like alert. If defects, you have to be there for pilot runs. Yeah, so I don't think so it's suitable for me at that point. So I'm blessed. I'm introduced by I pulled into this project. And then and also another blessed thing happened. I was headhunted by Shell because Shell is really in need of SAP consultant. So that's how my career moved from being a production engineer into a more to IT-ish. But what I'm doing right now does not leave my engineering fundamental knowledge, because I really need to bring that knowledge into being an architect, to design process, to design the IT, whatever, production. I still use that knowledge, but not calculating. Yeah, no, I don't do that. But that's how my transition is. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Shadatu. So we are at the topic of career. I have a question for IR Yao. For fresh grade engineering, should we wait until we find a suitable work related to what we study, or is it better to work with what we are being offered for? IR Yao.
Okay, I think this question, is more of a very general question. I think there are no correct answer for it. But I think from my view is when you graduate from the university, I'm sure you'll be looking for your career. So I think it's your first job. So I think you would definitely be looking at job street, or even having a career fair in university. I think the employers will come over. So I think for the first job, I think you can, just like for me, maybe I'll just share from my point of view as well. I was bonded by Hong Leong Group, Hong Leong Foundation. So at that time, although Hong Leong Group has a very vast variety of engineering fields that they actually offer, but at that time was actually just after the recession, so it's 2000 plus. And at the time, yes, I was electrical engineer, so at that time, I'm actually looking for more on semiconductor or even in the construction industry. Unfortunately, Hong Leong Group could not give me any of the offer, but I was bonded by them, so I have to work in the manufacturing, the manufacturing industry. I was in OYL manufacturing, doing air conditioning system. So you look at it, why air conditioning? They have to actually give me a job because I couldn't, because I'm bonded by the Hong Leong Group. So I worked there as a QA/QC engineer for 1.5 years. So again, because the job is just a QA/QC, so I have to actually adapt to the job to actually look at the quality of the manufacturing plant. And fortunately, at that time, because Hong Leong Group told us that because of the unavailability of the jobs suitable for you, they decided to release all the engineers who are actually under the scholarship bonding. So from there, I actually moved on to find my job of my life, where I went into consulting line. So again, I think one thing is for the first job, I think it's more of exploratory. I think you can explore, and if you find that is good, then you can continue or even move to a better organization or firm in that same field. Or if you find it not that suitable, you can actually go into another field, because within that 1 or 2 years, I think you're still fresh, and people can still accept you as a fresh engineer, or even you start all over again. So if let's say you felt that it's not suitable again, I think I have friends who do that. They went back to the research, they went back to the university to teach in engineering. So I think for the first 2 years, my advice to students is actually exploratory. What you can do is explore what is your passion on your career. Then if you think it's suitable, you can continue. And if you think if it's not, then perhaps you can actually try another new job or new career that is actually more suitable to you as well. So that's my advice to students. So don't worry too much. Get your first job, and so far I think for University of Malaya students, I think there's no issue to get a job now, because I think somehow, because we are sort of a better university, but I'm not too sure until when, but of course we are a better one. So I think we are in demand, on demand. So I think there shouldn't be an issue for students from University of Malaya. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arya.
I can echo to Yao, because yes, when I was in Shell, I didn't announce to everyone that I'm a university from UM, but once they know, they will say, oh, you say we have that kind of, what do you call that? Yeah, image. Yeah.
Joanne, I think another trend I see among the new graduates, engineering graduates as well, is maybe some of them may not go towards employment line. They want to be self-employed, or be very
YouTuber,
enterprising, influencers. I mean, there are also, you can be an entrepreneur. You can have a startup. If you can get the right connections and get right funding and do that. I think there are many paths to choose from. But I think, as what IR Yao says, it's all very circumstantial. That it all depends on the resources you have at hand, right? You may want to get into any job you want first, instead of waiting for the right one to come across. While you also develop your own plans. So I think that's probably good advice.
Yeah, can I also echo the similar advice, I think, to all of you as what I think perhaps you notice the panel share their own personal experience, but ultimately it also depends on the market condition at that point of your graduations. And I think to all of you, especially the 4th and final year students who will be graduating soon, it depends very much on the so-called employability at that moment, or rather the marketability situation at the moment. If there's any job come along, my advice is always, please just have a try, all right? Have a try first. I was actually all the while thinking that I want to do high-rise only, designing high-rise, constructing high-rise, but I don't know, finally I land up, as I say, the circumstances in a way put me into the water sector. And today I'm actually, in a way, you can say that I enjoy also. I find that actually my passion also is also in the water sector. So I think no harm, I think, not necessarily must be that you're so sort of fixed to a certain idea that you want to do certain aspect of your career, and you just let go of your opportunity. I think should there be any kind of employment opportunity come along, just have a try first, all right? Have a go first, all right?
Even though it's not non-engineering related.
Yeah, even non-engineering. We have friends, for instance, finally land up in finance, all right?
Yes.
In banking sector, we have engineers. I got colleagues. My classmate land up in one of the bank, and today he's a financer as well. So I think take engineering as just a fundamental step, all right? The foundation as well, that it can encourage into, whether it's within the confine of your engineering field, or perhaps even just across the boundary as well. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, maybe I will share a little bit on the same topic as well. What I think, I think for the student, especially engineering, if you view all your peers, you can see that Malaysia, the good student or the top student from Malaysia, in terms of that study the science side, actually is come to Probably is go to medical, which is who study biology, and who study physics will come to engineering. And then for art side, the top student from Malaysia for art side will go to law faculty. So you can see actually your peers all from are the top student from Malaysia. And then when you study engineering is the best for you to learn your skill. And what I found out in the real world outside is engineers they are very good in doing the analysis. The analytical skill is very good because the engineering fundamental give you that kind of ability. So regardless whether you are in engineering or you are in other fields, some are in programming field. Some of my friends, they are doing programming. Some like Ms. Sadatu just said, some involved in SAP. SAP, the system actually is like the enterprise resource planning kind of system. Not only SAP available in this world, there are so many. Microsoft also have on. The Accenture or this kind of company is the one that leading these services. So as an engineer, if you join in this kind of software company, what is your contribution? Your contribution actually is the analytical skill that you bring to the table. From other faculty, they might not be that sharp doing the analysis. So I think engineering or student, you have a whole lot of choice outside there. Yeah. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Artian. Following what you said about programming skill, because all of us engineering students right now have to learn a fundamental of like programming skills during our degree. So my question is, you have been involved in multiple projects as project manager. So how important would you say programming skills will be in your career field as a mechanical engineer, Artian?
Okay. What I think is that actually programming to understand programming or to know how to do programming actually is not compulsory. But then if you know how to do it, it will have added advantage to your job. For your information, because in university life, that's why I say last time in my university life, I'm the one that like to study. So I don't join activity outside, but all the time with me is the books. I need to learn something. So I have learned programming C. I have learned Visual Basic application. So there are many type of programming language that I have learned. But what I think the most useful at the moment is that the Visual Basic programming. The Visual Basic programming is the one that added to the, for example, Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. So the most useful actually is for Microsoft Excel. For example, if you have a lot of data, like what I'm doing is I do the waste to energy, which is we burn the waste and produce a power, electrical power. Then we have a lot of operation data. There is a temperature, pressure, different kind of the feeding rate of the waste, calorific value. So all this data is presented in Excel form with a lot of data. So with the Visual Basic programming skill, then I can analyze the data very fast because I create the language that can generate the graph in a few seconds. So this is how I think the programming helped me. And last time when I joined in Philip Morris time, there's one position after 1.5 years working there, then they promote me to the regional side to oversee the regional the secret information detail. So when I'm in that position, they need the team need to analyze, get all the secret information for all the Asia Pacific. You just imagine there are so many secrets. There is different type of secrets, so many secrets in the market. And then we need to analyze what is the tar, what is the nicotine level, what is the resistance to draw. There are many parameters we need to analyze and then put into a report. So when I joined this group, the report every month, they need to produce this report monthly. Every month, the report will take 2 weeks. After they receive the result, 2 weeks only they come with the report and send to the whole Asia Pacific region, all the MD in different section, different company. So when I joined this group, then I take my time. I wrote a programming, Visual Basic programming on the Excel. So when the data they are sending in is through the Excel form, then this report have been changed from 2 weeks become 1 day. Within 1 day, we're able to create the report with a beautiful graph. Then we send out to all the people. So because of that, then in that year, of course, I get a good promotion and I get the bonus and all those things. So I think because of programming, then they give me this kind of opportunity. Yeah.
Can I add? Sorry, I'm such a talkative lady, yeah. So by being the only lady panel, yeah. All right. Because IRTN, he practiced that program and he loves doing it, yeah. And for me, the knowledge is very important because, like in my line, if I have a programmer who work. Let's say if I want something, they'll do that for me, Mr. Tian. So I want this, I want that, I want that. So they have a programmer who will do that, but he cannot con me. Yeah. So to me, the whatever language, the knowledge, the program logic you must have. Yeah, it doesn't matter. C plus Fortran, I don't know back then Fortran. Yeah, C plus whatever. Nowadays we have ABAP programming. So because every system, whatever system in this world you have right now, have their own language. But in terms of the basic logic, it's still the same. Looping, find, search, is just the command is different. But you need to have that logical thinking. Yeah, because so that people will not con you. If my Baba say, I don't think so it can work. No, it can. Because I know you cannot fool me. Yeah, because you have that logical thinking. Okay, you might not be the doer, but you have that logical thinking.
Yeah, that was exactly, I was thinking the same, because now the knowledge of programming, I mean, unless you're doing software engineering, then of course, you need to know all this. But we have people like data scientists now who actually go into the intricacies of programming, and we as engineers, I think our role is to come up with conceptual models, right, on how we're going to apply the outcome of this data analysis into our engineering work. So we are basically going to be the bridge between the data and the problem at hand. So I think that's what engineers should have. Learn how to apply the programming, the outcome of that analysis into the problem at hand. But it still makes sense to have coding or programming knowledge. And I think there are some engineers who, by nature, are good at it. Writing code, that will be helpful, especially if, as what Pachara would say, if you have someone do the program for you, that they're not conning you into something, or you may need to supervise a group of data scientists as well.
Yeah. So can I add a little bit? Because the new era right now is into digitalization. Yeah, people have been talking about digitalization. All big companies are trying to, put everything on data because I'm actually responding to Mr. Artian talking about data. Data nowadays is very, very important. Yeah, and because in order to move into digitalization, data is very powerful. So having that knowledge on, how to use the data in the right way, for the benefit of the company. Yeah, so this is the digitalization era. You need to know more and get to know more how to help the company grow along with the digitalization. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Shaidatu. So we know in different field of engineering, they might need, but they might not need. So what about you, Aryao? In electrical engineering, do you frequently use programming skill?
Okay, in electrical engineering, speaking on the construction industry, I think if you notice, I think they already launched the Construction Revolution 4.0. They call it CR 4.0. Okay, so I think in the construction industry, because I'm speaking in the construction industry, there are already plans for digitalization. I think we are moving towards having programs like building information modeling, drone technology, and of course other technologies as well, AI, blockchain, or even Internet of Things. So we are also moving towards having, as you know, during the pandemic, we can't travel to the sites and so on. So we did a lot of remote work where we actually have monitoring systems and so on. So I think the industry is going towards that, and perhaps students, I think, be aware of the latest changes, and of course the what you call digitalization, as well as also the emerging technology. Because whatever we learned 20 years ago, I always like to stress this, whatever I learned during the university may not be the same anymore. Of course, the theory is the same, but the application may differ. When I started working, it was all about AutoCAD. Okay, now we are moving towards from 2D to 3D, and you even have 3D scanning. Last time we used to have to take pictures of every of our sites and all that. Now there's actually a machine to just scan everything in just a seconds. So I think we move towards that, and I think 20 years ago, I don't even have, when I started work, I don't even have my handphone is just to call. And I don't have emails. And if I need to talk to, let's say, Datuk Lim or Damesh, I have to call. And of course, I don't use WhatsApp. I don't even know what is happening in the site and so on. So now 20 years later, things have changed. And not only I think the students need to adapt. People like us working in this industry also have to adapt. I cannot be telling my staff that I don't want to use the latest technology to grow in our company. So I think that's why I think students, I think besides learning the theory from the university, do be on the lookout on the various latest technology, because things change very, very fast. So I think when you graduate from universities 3 years down the road, things may change again. So I think that is my advice to students.
Okay, thank you, Ariel. So you don't want to be left behind in this industry. You have to be competent. You have to work, if not ahead of other people. So, okay, let's go back to Dato Lim. After years of being in this industry, right, what are the common misconceptions about your engineering field? Sorry, Dato, your mic is muted.
Okay, right. Okay, can you hear me now? Right. I
Yes,
think
can hear you.
sometimes in terms of I would say the expectations of the public on us sometimes can be a bit I would say in a way misguided at times and they do expect us to probably to deliver everything, to perfections, things to be working very well. So I think it's a public expectation that we need to manage. I would say that, and obviously, I think some misconceptions about engineers is that at times they feel that again, in the public eye, or perhaps even in some of the I would say the big organization, especially those in the non-engineering sectors. They will probably look upon the so-called contributions from engineers as a sort of I call it a backroom kind of so-called services. You see. So I think that kind of misconception need to be probably in a way corrected. And I think that's where I think engineers should make ourselves more proactive, put ourselves one step forward in a way to highlight our not to say the blow up trumpet, but at least to highlight our own capability and achievement. So I think this kind of misconception is more from the public perception as well as some corporate sector perceptions which need to be corrected. Not so much standing as a back room, but times for us to move forward. In the institutional engineers, we would like to say that engineers are the prime movers, all right, and also the so-called to take the lead, at least to take a step forward to take the lead, and that brings me to the point of the important attribute. I think many attributes has been mentioned in terms of the soft skills for engineers, but I think the leadership skill is equally important as well, and that's where I think you can develop. Though many of you already start showing at the I would say perhaps in the from the second, third, and fourth year onward. But as you grow and as you step forward in the industries, in the working life, you need to develop your leadership skill, and that's where I think we need to take our step forward and lead in whatever organization we are in or in any kind of a situation we are in the community. So I think be more community-minded in a sense. That's right. And then also at the same time that we erase some of the misconception about our roles in society, and it's a more important as nation builders. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato. Yes, Miss Shaida.
I don't know why I have something to say. Misconception about chemical engineers, chemists. Because they always thought chemical engineers are chemists. We are not chemists. We are not chemists. Yeah. So we don't invent. We are not. So they thought we are chemists, and also I've heard from my mechanical engineers as well, because they know machines and parts. They sometimes tend to play with gaskets and whatever. So we are also not technicians. Yeah, so engineers are not technicians. We have our own technicians who does all those things. Yeah, but we don't fix. We are not electrician. Yeah, there's sometimes, it's like if I say that I'm an IT consultant, they will say, I have a problem with my laptop. Can you fix it? No, I cannot. Yeah, so those are small little things, misconception of what we do sometimes. Yeah.
Yes, similar misconceptions in biomedical engineering as well. They think they confuse us with biomedical science, and they think that we work in the lab, analyzing specimens under a microscope. So that's a misconception. And at the hospitals as well, like the common misconception is they treat us like technicians, which is not really true. That when the equipment breaks down, you call a biomed to repair, or come and do preventive maintenance. That's typical misconceptions for biomedical engineers as well. So I can feel you, Shaidatul.
But having said that, if you are in an organization that somehow you don't have that many resource and you have to do hands-on, don't tell me, oh, I'm an engineer. Please, no, I'm not going to do this. Yeah, so that's a very wrong attitude, especially when you are just graduated, you're being picky on what you do. When you are being assigned, just do it. You have nothing. You just have on the paper experience 0. So sometimes learn from the bottom is better. Yeah. So have a good attitude. Okay. But yeah, they have that misconception is okay. But when you want to get the experience, you sometimes have to look stupid. Sorry, but yes, you have to. Because even if you want to get experience, you have to ask more, right? So when you do hands-on, then only you get that experience. Then only you can do design better because you feel them. Yeah. So don't always think that I'm engineer. I need to be that level. No.
Yeah. I forgot to add obviously I think treat the misconception or whatever it is so-called expectation as a challenge to us, and obviously it's a good opportunity for us to improve ourselves further. I used to get grumbling from my wife, say, "What, the tap is leaking, why can't I don't know how to repair it?" I say, "I don't know." All right, but I think in a way it forces us to be in the more adaptive. Just now, I think the word about adaptation, right, creativity, and perhaps even more the resilient. That in a way I think it's good to take positively. That in a way it does enhance our so-called hands-on skill as well. All right. Thank you.
I think the most misconception is between the technician and the engineers. So I still remember during my university time, there's one of my friend's father. He's repairing the car. He's a technician repairing the car. Then he always told us, I am near engine. You all are engineer. So there's a difference between two of us. So technician, normally they walk near the engine. So then they do the hands-on work. Then engineer is not near the engine because you are far from the engine already. So actually, the engineer and the different with the technician is technician, you need to hands-on and do the work. And then engineer, although you're not doing the hands-on, however, you are expected to understand what they are doing. And also, most important expectation from the engineer actually is the improvement or the idea that you bring to the table after you understand the engine. So, or understand the issue. So this the engineers, the expectation. Yeah, I think this is the big difference between the technician and the engineers. Yeah, thank you.
Correct. Not sure whether this is the right time to tell this as well, but don't expect when you go out you will straight design. Yeah, don't expect that, because mostly when you go out, the process is already there, the tank is already there, the plant is already there. What are you going to design? So it's more on the process improvement, like Tian mentioned just now, right? You must know, in order to improve the process, you must know the process. How can you make improvement you don't know the process? Because what we learn in university is just fundamental or basic. A plus B equals C, yeah? But when it's actual, yeah, you have that machines, you have that tanks, yeah, with certain capacity or whatnot, it gives a different reaction. Then you will say, oh no, based on my chemical engineering handbook, it's supposed to be like this. No, it won't work that way. It won't work that way. Yeah, it is. They will go to you and say, you studied this. This is the design. This is the function, right? And if there is a defect, tell me what I should do.
Okay, thank you, Miss Shredatu. So while we are at this topic of misconception among engineers, Miss IR Yao, would you mind telling us what is the difference between a client, consultant, and contractor? And would you tell us what is the working culture for each of this, so we can like enlighten us more on this to reduce the misconception among us engineering students?
Okay, I think client, consultant, and contractor is more on the construction line, but of course, I think I can share. So when you have a building, or when you have speaking on behalf as a M&E engineer, a mechanical and electrical engineer. So when you build a building, or you build a power plant, so you have somebody who is actually the client who wants to build that, for example, TMB or even private firms. They want to build solar farms and all that. So they are the clients. So they are the ones who actually finance. That means give you the money to do or build the thing. So it is more on the financing side. But again, I think that although they are the client, they give the financing side. So then they will actually require a professional engineer or a professional designer to design the systems and so on. And of course, obtaining all the various approvals from the authorities, including like what Dato Lim was in, JPS and all that. So Dato Lim was actually an authority. So you have the client, you also have the authority, where they are the authority who approves the various design and so forth. So we are there's designer, there's the developer, there's authority, there is also someone who builds it. Because as a professional designer, we don't build, like what Sedato had mentioned. We can design, but we need someone who actually hands-on and build the thing. So that is where comes in the builder, or we call it contractor. So we work together. That means there are so many parties. And of course, after you have the contractor, you finish you complete the building or complete the construction site. There is also a team called the maintenance engineer who maintains the building after you completed the building itself. So there is actually this whole chain of career that an engineer can be in. Not only that you are supposed to be in the design team, you can also be a builder. You can also there are engineers also required in this various category. Even in the development or even the client, they also require an engineer to oversee or manage the project as well. So all these are the engineers' role. And of course, the authority side, you need the engineers as well to look at the policy, to look at the various installation works, which is actually complying to the regulations and standards as well. So this is actually the entire chain of engineering that I can share with you. And of course, coming back to the questions of technicians or even technologists, there is a misconception, but I think the industry is evolving. And now I think, of course, we have the recognition of engineers now. We know that engineers are actually recognized. Now I think there is also a plan to recognize technicians and technologists, although they are not our category, but they are part of the engineering fraternity as well. So I think, of course, a doesn't offer technician and technologist diploma or degree, but I think other universities offers that as well. So of course, like what Damesh and Tien has mentioned, they play a different role because engineers are the ones who solve complex problems, technicians and technologists would have their own definition as well, what they do and what is their role as well in our field. So hopefully it's clear, and as I mentioned, there are plenty of career opportunities for you. It's where it depends on where you want to excel in. For example, you want to be in the design team, you want to be on the builder team, or you want to achieve more to be in the develop to the client side. So there are plenty of opportunities for engineers. Thank you. Oops, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you, Ariel. That is very insightful information for us. Enlighten all the freshmen before you prepare more. You should know the difference between this. Okay. So next, I would like to ask IR10, as someone who has both MBA and IR, which one do you think students should pursue first? Is it MBA or IR?
I think it depends on what kind of a career you want to go forward. For me, I obtained MBA is because after several years of working, as I say in university, I'm not the very outspoken guy. Then I found that you need to be communicate to others. Then in order for you to move up the career ladder, then I also found that a lot of the senior manager, the very senior one, they are from marketing, from sales, from finance. So most of the big corporation, this is the guy that's going to sit on top. Then why this is the guy that sit on top? If you look at the company structure, actually profit is very important. That's why I take my MBA. I study MBA. It's not for me to learn how to do the profit and loss, balance sheet, all this, but then it's for me to understand how to read the profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow statement for a company. So once you equip with all this skill or ability, when there's one time you move out to the career ladder, then based on your company's the condition, you by reading all these document, then you can give a good suggestion. For example, if you already know that your company currently the cash flow is not so strong, then as a engineering manager, when you propose, you will not propose the upfront expenses, high upfront expenses kind of project, because your company cash flow is not strong now. So you should propose the improvement with low hanging fruit, which is not need to spend a lot of money, but then you can do a great cost saving kind of initiative first. So this is when you are able to read the financial statement and then equipped with this skill, you couple it with your technical proposal, then it will be easy get you to go through the approval process. So MBA will help you to move up the career ladder. Then in different way, if you want to move up the technical ladder, then I think IR is very important, because getting the IR title, then people will be more respecting us. Then I think actually in Malaysia, I think Malaysian we still have the common norm. People respect people with the longer title. For example, of course, Dato' IR Lim will be more higher when it comes to convincing people. Actually, it's better. So the longer your title, actually you are more convincing. I mean,
which one? The name is longer or the title longer?
The title is longer. So you can see our most of the ministry, the title is very, very long. So when the talk is more convincing.
More money lah, huh? Title more money.
Yes, correct. And then this one is it can be seen especially when we write letter to the government. You do application, you do appeal on the approval. They will see who is the sign off. The sign off with the longer title, okay, they will process the application faster. Why? Because the most commonly know that the longer title is with the stronger relationship. So they have to entertain this first. Otherwise, they might get sick. So this is most important for the government side. Yeah. So again, if you want to move out the career later in the technical side, then I think a professional engineer is very important. If you want to move on the management side, I think MBA is important. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
It sounds funny what Tian said, but I can echo what he says because I also have in the same situation with the MBA and IR. Is that people out there? They have. It's all about your about perception and personal branding. I feel that we as engineers we also need to look at it seriously. But for engineers, when we graduate, there's always this perception that we are like a square. We operate within this certain area, and having extra credentials like an MBA and also the professional engineer recognition, I think it gives maybe a different perception to people that you know more than just the basic engineering and you are able to do more. Although you may be very capable already, in your basic engineering, but this is a form of, I believe, a validation, external validation that sometimes is needed for people to climb up the corporate ladder.
Okay, thank you, IR Dharmesh. So it depends on the individual job career, which one you choose. So that one you will have to do the decision on your own. Okay, so next question I would like to ask to Dato Lim. As we are with job opportunity changing as time passes, like for example, during your early year of working, engineering is in high demand, but now we are in pandemic. A lot of senior engineer lost their job. So what are your thoughts and work opportunities for engineer in the next 5 years, as our freshmen will be graduating in approximately 4 to 5 years to come?
Can you all hear me? Because just now I didn't quite hear your questions, but I think obviously I see that there's even I think under this pandemic environment, all right, the role of engineers is still there. We do have a role to play, even the traditional role of our engineers as in society. Obviously, I think earlier one of the panelists, Engineer Yao, did mention that engineers can be involved in all fields. I think you look around, I think when you wake up early in the morning, you look around your house, you step out of the house, all right, you on your car, you move around the streets, all right, on the road, everything's engineering, all right. You touch the screen, touch the computer, you take out your handphone, everything's engineering, all right. And I would say that the role of engineers definitely is still there. There's no worry whether it's a pandemic or COVID-19 pandemic or lockdown. All the more, I think engineering services is always there. It's questions of how, in which aspect of engineering that we fit in, obviously. And I think a role of engineers, if I put it in terms of processes, as what Engineer Yan mentioned, you can be a planner, all right, in the planning side, for instance, in the design sector, as a design engineer, in the construction sector, in the service sector as an operation and maintenance, perhaps even asset management. And you move out further, as what the Engineer Tian mentioned about, with the added value, whether you have MBA or not MBA, perhaps also in the management role as well. You are also operating as manager and management roles as well. For those of us who like to stick on with the public service, but we also play the roles of what we call regulatory roles as well. All right. And in terms of area that you can serve, for instance, I think let's look at public services. Engineers of all disciplines required in all fields, you see. All right. And I would say that every ministry, almost every ministry have, in a way, I would say the technical people that are employed. They might be doing not necessarily the pure engineering works, right? But they are also involved in what we call the overall policy development, right? National policy development for the ministries, for several different sectors, transportations, the water sector, the environment people are also engineers, for instance. The people in the health industry, they are also engineers. They are also engineers in the Ministry of Health, for instance. The local authorities, they require engineers, for instance, we call it the regulatory services as well. So all these technical services, engineering services, definitely, I think you would not run away. It definitely, I think it's required, more so for all discipline. So, but obviously, today with the pandemic kind of conditions that we're in, the lockdown, you all mentioned about digitization. Obviously, I think we're in the era of digitization. And that's where I think the acceleration of the use of the various tools in digitization become even more prominent. And that's why I think to all the so-called the new graduates at this time, I think get yourself very familiar with all the various tools of digitization. And this, if somehow you need it, take it as a tool that you need it to be applied in all fields of engineering, and irrespective of which kind of services you're providing in all the various sectors as well. Okay, so I think I would say that obviously there'll be more advancement, more accelerations in terms of usage of the digital tools. More so like what we are now, a virtual kind of forum, all right? And that's why I think in virtual forum there are many I'll call it the software, the various kind of so-called applications that can be utilized for us to actually to do different discussions, or perhaps even doing so-called digital design, all right? Or even perhaps even doing even to carry out a workshop, for instance, like today. Distance learning, right? In the for the academic world, they have no choice but to move forward as well. So I think it's more applications of the digital tools that we need to enhance on during the pandemic. But traditionally wise, in terms of engineering applications of all this various discipline, is still there. All right. Certainly, I think I want to congratulate especially our newcomers, the first year students, for having enrolled in the University of Malaya. Certainly, take it as a pride that you actually, in a way, selected to study in University of Malaya. The role is there, all right, for engineers, and obviously you can enhance, take it as a stepping stone, whether finally you practice engineering or not, but it is, in a way, a foundation for you towards your career, whatever you will finally end up in. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lim. So don't be afraid, freshmen, because field of engineering is very wide. You can be a lot of things in engineering. So it's depend on you on what career path you will choose in the future. So my next question is to IR Dharmesh. As someone who is actively engaged in various healthcare projects related to technology assessment, management consulting, and market development, in your opinion, how has the pandemic changed this engineering work of yours?
Well, I think there have been opportunities for biomedical engineers to showcase themselves during the pandemic. Of course, they're still not known as the frontliners, but maybe the second liners. But when it came to, during this specific COVID-19 pandemic where there was a shortage of equipment, access to equipment was limited, resorting to alternatives like coming up with low-cost ventilators, designing ventilators, to supplement the shortage. That is where biomedical engineers came in, and even when hospitals were deciding to set up isolation wards or isolation areas where we working together with the mechanical engineers in the hospital, we come up with negative pressure rooms, barriers, look at infection control related to medical devices as well. So I think this pandemic has presented opportunities for biomedical engineers in that sense to showcase their skills in solving problems that have been brought in, especially during this emergency period. And I think things like, I think one of the areas that I saw quite interestingly developed was when there's shortage of parts for devices, should we resort to maybe 3D printing of parts, or even medical devices, 3D printing of medical devices, and what that technology, the prospect of that technology can hold, right? So those are the new things that we have been exposed to.
Okay, thank you, IR Dharmesh. What about you, IR Den? You are involved in various development projects before. So, the latest is PT Sumber Organic, which is one of your scope is project management for the construction of gasification power plant at Surabaya, Indonesia. So, if this kind of project is carried out during the pandemic, how are you gonna do this? Do you guys also do it like virtually? Visit the site virtually. So Artin.
Yeah. Okay. I think in terms of the project management side, because and then follow up this pandemic situation. Actually, the way I look at it is pandemic situation pushed our digitalization forward, advanced at least like 5 to 10 years more advanced. We actually, in my time when I'm in Form 5, we already talk about medical surgery by the robotic, and then somebody doctor is sit maybe is a few thousand kilometers away. In Form 5, I already thought about this, and then my essay is writing about this. But then today we're still thinking want to achieve this. But anyway, in this pandemic, he have pushed forward the digitalization very much. So the way this digitalization impact on my project management, I think there's two things. One thing is in terms of the project management, actual project management. Actually, we can have somebody on site that putting a drone. Then the drone will fly over and take the 3D picture, how's the progress of the project. So then by not going into the site, I also can manage my project. So then I can do a virtual meeting, all this, discuss with the contractor. So this is the improving in my project management side. And then another thing that related, digitalization related to my this project management is in terms of approval process. So approval process, we, like for example, we meet with the Department of Environmental, we meet with the different department authority to get the approval. This online meeting have some impact on this, because before this we used to have the face-to-face meeting. We sit in the room. Okay, of course there's no gift policy. However, you still can have some talking, human touch. So when there is this kind of feeling, people were a bit hesitate to reject you. It's not easy to reject your project or your proposal. So they was ask you, okay, you may need to improve this portion, then your approval will be go ahead. But then through the online meeting, there's no human touch. Difficult to get the human touch feeling. So for them, after you complete your presentation, if it's not interesting, it's a normal presentation, then they will say, okay, very good, but then it's not going to approve. And then they don't have any hard feeling because they don't have the human touch. So that's why just now when IIL said he do the interview with the candidate give a very interactive kind of background and all this. I think in this digitalization, online meeting, this is very important. How you capture the attention of your audience. So this is become very important because last time you still have the human touch. Although your PPT, PowerPoint is not so nice, but then you with the your discussion with all these people is face to face. You have the human touch, but now you lack of this human touch already. So you need to cover this back through your good PPT, good presentation. Yeah, so this is the difference, I think. Yeah, thank you.
In fact, I agree with Tian as well. I just want to add on. Same goes to students. If let's say, because you see, we have new fresh graduate students from university. I think the current situation now is because when you graduate, you are looking at, because this is the first time working, so you don't have the human touch with your superior as well. So although you are working, so the human touch is like lacking. So I think this is another thing that I think the engineers, the fresh graduates have to look into.
Can I add? Can I add? Yeah, sorry. For me, I've been working from home for more than 10 years. So there's no difference in terms of working culture for me. Yeah, I'm used to working virtual. But recently, I think early of this year, Shell bought a plant in Japan. So normally when we bought a plant, when we set up, I mean, the plant is there already. So I'm in the downstream lubricants business. So the plant is there already. But in order to set up, let's say, the data, in the system, as you know, I'm a SAP consultant, so-called. So in order to set up the data in the system, so I need to know what are the parts for, let's say, for example, this particular pump, how many screws, how many, whatever, all the small little parts, even the tanks and whatsoever. So it's very difficult if you don't go to the plant and see it, And having the project is in Japan, I'm in Malaysia, and we have a very limited time. We have to complete, certain duration. So pandemic forced us to think creatively and how to get that data on time, or whatever that you need to achieve on time. So what happened for Japan case, we send from US, the kind of the Google, the like visual reality that you play games. Yeah. So we send actually from US to Japan that device, so that we can do online. So we can have because we can't use a phone. Yeah, we can take video in the production line. Yeah, especially when you deal with oil. So there must be a special equipment where it's not flammable, of course. Yeah. So we have to think. So we send it to Japan, and then so while the supervisor wear the goggle, so we can, work online and check. All right. Okay, this one. Okay. So we can do our consultant. We can advise them accordingly. Yeah. So that's how, for pandemic, that's what, drives us. Think more creatively, because, as I said, time is money. We cannot just, we have to think about how we can grow, benefit the company. Yeah. So that we won't, especially, Shell, right? The oil. So the it's really hit us, when we started MCO.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Shadatu. Okay, so from what the panelists have said, we have to go with the environment, go with the situation. You need to be able to adapt, to be a competent engineer when you are in your working life. Okay, so with that answer from Ms. Shadatu just now, this will end our forum session. And thank you to all panelists for patiently answering the questions. It is now time for us to proceed with the audience Q&A session. Our committee has selected several questions that were submitted by our attendees using the Slido link given in the chat box for the speakers to answer. However, for those who still have questions to ask, it is still not too late for you to submit your question now. Okay, so let us go to our first question in the Slido link. Hi, how alumni think about the sustainable development goals and what we can do for it as an engineer? I would like to give this answer to IR10, since you have been working in waste to energy project. IR10, what do you think?
Yeah, I think sustainable development is going to be happen in not only Malaysia, it's going to happen in the whole Asia. Actually, in the other part of the world, the development country, they're already moving ahead, much ahead from us. So for us in Asia here, we are slowly moving up. We have solar, we have hydropower, we have biomass power plant, we have waste to energy power plant. So to put it in a more practical way, what is the sustainable development bring to us is that it will give us a cleaner energy. This is on the very a very political political thought. However, in the practical way, it is a good opportunity, because sustainable development, the equipment that's going to come in, the plant, the technology is going to be more advanced. So it will require higher skill to be higher skill operator to operate the plant, higher skill of the designer, engineer, all these more competent people. So it will increase the requirement in the engineering level. So of course, with this more competent and more difficulties, it's also bring you a good package. You can get a better salary in terms of this sustainable development kind of, while government is trying to achieve this sustainable development goal, then you will get a better opportunity, better salary, better package. So this is what I think. So you can see the Malaysia is coming out. We already have solar, we already have hydro, we already have biomass power plant. Waste to energy plant is coming up now, which in fact, I have completed the Thailand waste to energy plant, the first one in 2015. And then I recently completed the Indonesia first waste to energy plant in 2020. So now in Malaysia, we are going into this waste to energy plant era. So there is a lot of opportunity. Then I believe this kind of high requirement kind of engineering field will give you a better package.
Okay, thank you, IR10. So the next question. Hi, all alumni. Will it be a waste if I decide to pursue other job after graduating? This one, our alumni have answered. It is up to you. It will never a waste because you will get new experience. So why not you try working with new experience? This is from what the panelists have said to us just now. Okay, for the next question. Yao, how many years of working experience are needed before setting up our own consultancy firm?
This question is very subjective, but I'll try to answer based on my experience. But of course, before you set up your own consultancy firm, because as a professional consultancy firm, you need to be qualified first. That means you need to be an IR, or we call it professional engineer, and then only you can set up. So in terms of working years of experience, I've actually, of course, I did not share earlier. When I got my PE, I was very enthusiastic. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I went on to set up my firm, but it did not went well when I first set it up, I think in 2009. I think the reason is because in setting up a firm as an entrepreneur is not only your technical knowledge, you need to have certain social skills and marketing skills. And of course, also your clientele, you need to actually have that. Of course, you need to have connection and of course, more of like knowledge and how you market yourself as a company. So I failed in my first attempt. And after that, I went back to work for people. And from there, I actually learned more on the marketing skills, how to get, obtain, or even secure projects for my company and so on. So after that, 2 to 3 years down the road, then only I started my second firm. And from there, I managed to hold on until today. So in terms of setting up own consultancy firm, I think not only the technical knowledge is important, you need to have a team, and of course also the entrepreneurship skills as well. So it's actually a combination of all. And in terms of working years of experience, it depends on how fast you can reach to that level. And of course, be confident at that level as well. And the other one is, of course, I forgot to mention about is also the financial stability as well. So setting up a own firm, unless you are heavily sponsored by your parents or even you have your own businesses before that. If not, it's very difficult and you have to start from zero. And that's why I think you need to have all these together before you can set up a good and sustainable consultancy firm. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yao. So for the audience information, Durian Consultant is actually one of the F21 sponsors partner. Let us give a round of applause to Yao. Okay. So our next question is, a lot of engineers are concerned about the unsatisfying salary. What do you have to say about this? Any panelists open to the floor?
I think I told this briefly during our briefing, right? It's what makes you happy at the end of the day. Is 100 makes you happy? 1,000 makes you happy? 2,000 makes you happy? 5,000 makes you happy? Yeah, it all depends on, of course, as when you first graduate, you shouldn't be choosy. Yeah, you actually earn more than what you are having right now. Of course, if you have very rich parents, that's put aside. Yeah, but why aren't you satisfied on what the salary for the first job? You shouldn't, because you earn more than what you have right now. Yeah, so be grateful of what you have. Along the way, get the knowledge, get the experience that will then enhance. Yeah, then you can demand.
I think just to add also, this is just something funny that I think there will never be a satisfying salary. There will always be an unsatisfying salary, and that's what makes us grow and yearn for more. So I think one of the ways to overcome this is to continuously develop yourself, develop your value, your skill set, so that people will see your value and then you will get remunerated accordingly, right? So that's my angle.
I think that will then answer the how to maintain self-motivation.
Yeah, on that, the maintaining of self-motivation, I think I do have an advice to the upcoming engineers is sometimes it's very difficult to motivate yourself just like that. one of the things that I was lucky to have is a good mentor in my own organization. But I want to also advise that if you have a chance, if you can't find a good mentor in your future organization, look for a good mentor outside the organization. Get someone in the industry who is successful, or you feel it's a good role model. Get in touch with them, speak to them, and that will help you, I think, maintain this kind of motivation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of the question, uncertified salary, I have a view here, which is what I think is that first, when you enter a job, regardless whether you are enter as a fresh graduate or you enter after your change field job, then when you enter into a company, my philosophy always is I don't demand my salary initially. I only demand my salary after I prove my achievement. After I have proved my achievement, I demand. So for your information, during my Thailand project, when I go to Phuket to do the project management, I'm the only one from client representative sent to the site, and I have to complete the project. So when I go there, the project is losing money. I know that the company is spending a few 40,000-50,000 every month, need to pump into the project. And then the project is not giving a revenue. So I don't demand anything. So I just go there, I only take my basic salary. I don't, the hotel being paid, then I don't do my claim. So I just complete the job. So once the plant is start running well, start making revenue, then I know that the plant is already making money. Then I start to change my hotel to a good hotel. Then I rent a car. Then I claim differently. Additional claim, 8,000 per month. I just submit my claim. And then my boss did not reject because he know that he need me there in order for the plant to continue making revenue. And my claim compared to the revenue is just a little bit. So they just pay. So I think this is how you have to structure your way as a worker, how you can get a good salary. Because let's say if I just go in, I submit my first month, I go to Thailand, I submit my 8,000 claim. I think next month he will say no need to go already. He will find somebody go to the plant because it's too expensive. So I think this is how it go lah. Yeah.
If I just add on, as for those who have the opportunity to serve in the public sector, obviously I think for the government services, the salary are fixed because there's a scale that has been actually established for all kinds of professionals or all kinds of services in the government sectors. So engineers pay, if you really compare, during my time, we started off with only 700 ringgit only in the 70s. And today, I think it's not too bad. I think they have revised many times already. I would say that it's quite reasonable for those in the civil service. And obviously, for those in the private, it depends on what other panelists has been saying, that your first job, I think we shouldn't be choosy. But as it goes along, as it shows your worth and your value, certainly, I think I would say that perhaps even the organization themselves, private organization, will know how to reward you well as you go along. So I think the more important is show your capability. All right, start off with something even reasonable and show your so-called be adaptive. All right, be always I would say that able to not just a technical skill but also some of the other soft skills. Show them. All right, and make yourself that you actually contributing to the organization. Certainly, they know how to reward you accordingly. Right? Yeah. Thank you.
As Damesh said, you won't be satisfied, right? So you have to, but buku baju di badan sendiri. Is it? What is that called? It's your own lifestyle. If you after graduate and suddenly you buy a new car, it won't satisfy you. It won't be enough. So I have a son who already 2 years started working. Yeah, so he learned the hard way. Yeah, so I make him learn the hard way. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add something on motivation? Yes. All right. I think while even you're in a university, two things, as I say, mentioned that while you're also joining the engineering society in university, come and join us at the IEM, all right, where we have many ways to motivate you as well. There's a student chapter, there's a IEM student chapter in University of Malaya. Obviously, I think Engineer Fang, yourself Fang will be able to assist as well to organize more activities. Join us as a student chapter, and then you are entitled also to join us at the institution the activities as well. And that's where I think we would like to even assist you in this kind of motivation, how to motivate yourself. Obviously, apart from having a good mentor, as what the Premier mentioned, it's also good to have a peer kind of, a peer kind of assistant as well. And that's why we are here in the institution engineers to help not just engineers but even engineer students as well. So come and join us, and we'll have you along. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato Lim. So attendees take note on that. Come from a very super senior of us, 36 years of experience. So if you want to maintain your self-motivation, join IAM student chapter of University of Malaya. Okay, so next question. Can I take PhD and work in non-research careers? So any panelists would like to answer to this? Perhaps, yeah.
Okay, maybe just a quick one. I think you can for industry. I think if let's say you are taking a PhD, it has to be a specialized career. For example, like we in electrical, you have like careers in system study. So someone who's actually more prone to actually do a study on simulations and so on. So that requires more in-depth study on a certain knowledge. So that will be also a market. There's also a demand in the market for that. So I think same goes to other engineering. I think, for example, like I know there are a lot of like people like in civil, they have geotech, so they have a PhD and all that. So I think all these, I think if there's a specialization in certain sector of that particular engineering field, yeah, definitely the PhD would be an advantage to the person itself.
Yeah, I think I would like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Lim. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on to what Engineer Yao mentioned, obviously, I think for those who aspire to further their education in terms of going for PhD or master, certainly whichever whatever career you're in, whichever kind of activities that you carry out, be it not necessarily must be research kind of activities. Even for those who are in the sales, for instance, or those in the I'll call it the construction industry, for instance, right? Not just design, not obviously design people may be more inclined, but those who are even in the sales and I call it the construction side, or even in the management side, they still can. I think they are still, if they have the interest and the so-called perseverance, by all means, I think we encourage you to carry on and pursue your PhD. So there's no stopping. Whichever situation you're in, certainly you are most welcome to carry on your PhD.
Yeah,
Right.
I just wanted to say that I think the PhD can bring value when you work for management consulting companies. I mean, you talk about the McKinseys and the Ernst & Young and those kind of people. I mean, if you have a background, a specialized background, a PhD in a certain area, then you could use your engineering background plus this PhD in those kind of positions.
Yeah, I think I agree with this IR Damesh, because normally in my discussion with the banker, financial, especially during our project, we want to do the financing. The discussion hierarchy will go with, if you are a professional engineer, then you might need a higher than professional engineer people to question you on your answer. If you are a PhD, you might require a higher position people to question you, or more experienced people to question you. Other than that, I mean, theoretically, who else to question your answer? Because you are PhD, so this is norm during our meeting discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's more true in the healthcare industry when I deal with doctors. So if I have a doctor in front of my name, maybe I can go head on with the medical doctors. Yeah, but that's just something funny.
Can I share something different? It's nothing to do with PhD, but because Tian mentioned about the levels, yeah. So in my not my company, where I work, I can always talk to the VP. The gap is not that, there's no such gap. Everybody can speak of your mind. Yeah. So we are encouraged to, because there's no wrong and right answer. So they value your thoughts, they value your suggestion, right? So whatever ideas are very much welcome. It doesn't matter you are a VP. Of course, they will question you, especially when it comes to money. But then if you have a good justification, yeah, you can always. I'm giving an example of Japan project. When I'm nobody. Yeah, I don't have a PhD. I don't have IR. I'm nobody. I'm just a architect in the Shell organization or in my organization. And then, but the decision to buy lubricants Shell company, how much does it cost? That I do that costing. They value my idea. They value my options, and then they sign off based on what I have provided information. Yeah. So don't think that you don't have that credential. Sorry to say that I'm very respect whatever that you have. I mean the panelists here, but what I'm trying to say is, do not feel that you don't have that credential. You can't change the world. Yeah. It all depends on you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
think it's important.
Yeah.
Depend on how you convince the people. Yeah.
Yes, that's what the influencing skill, the one is a soft skill that you have to have. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that thought. So that will answer two of the question, how important and crucial is taking a master and PhD in engineering nowadays. So let's move to next question. How to make friends if you are shy and not good at initiating conversation? I think Artian can answer to this.
Yeah. Okay. So unless I think you are moving up, you already decide you are moving up through a technical ladder. Technical ladder means that you will be like technician, engineer, and then specialist to certain machinery. Then you move up. You already decide, make up your mind. You want to move out this career path. Then probably you will not require to communicate to too many people. However, I think when you come out in your real life, whether you are shy, you are not shy, your English is good or not good, you can easily mix with people or not, you will be forced to do that. So I think never mind, you just follow the nature way of how the fate bring you to. So because, for example, when you come out to work, definitely you will need to communicate with your colleague. So probably your colleague will have some social outing, then you have to join it together. So just follow what you want, the lifestyle that you want. So it's okay. I think in terms of the conversation, to start conversation and all these things, people will also communicate with you if you are friendly and then easy to talk with people. Yeah.
Maybe I can share. I'm not sure whether can I share my experience a little bit. You can see me now. I speak English, so-called kononnya bagus. Yeah. Actually, not sure whether every one of you knows that I have an experience living in UK. I was an expat in UK for 3 years. Yeah, so I was given the opportunity to be an expatriate in UK for 3 years. Just imagine I being pushed into a community. Non-Bahasa Malaysia is all Europeans. My colleagues are all from Europe, US, Europe, Italy, German, whatever country in the Europe. Yeah, I'm the only Malaysian. Now, if I shy, I won't get anything. If I don't talk to anybody, I won't get things done. So like what Tian said, you are being pushed. And that's where you grab the opportunity. It's you to make those changes. And being a Malaysian, the only Malaysian, I say Malaysia boleh, right? With the Malaysia boleh spirit, every time I go into a meeting, it's all fellow architects all over the world. I was like 30 of us. And then everyone, if you want to make changes, because when we do changes, it's not only for Malaysia. We are changing a system that used by the global. Yeah. So when you propose an idea, it must be doable, or it will not be impacting the rest of the world. Yeah. So because we are streamlining the process, so you have to influence somehow. You have to bring up. You have to force yourself. Don't tell me you can't do a simple smile. Yeah, smile. and say hi. I don't think so. Everyone can do that, right? Everyone can do that. And of course, being in the UK, I'm of course I'm very afraid, even though I can talk, but surrounded by these people, right? So you feel very small. You feel very small. But then I said, no, I have to step up. I have to step up and use that social activities, like what Tian mentioned. They have this so-called wine society. Yeah, well, I don't drink wine, but they have this wine society. And of course, when we're doing an expatriate, you have your family also with you. Yeah, when I was in the UK. So, but I said, I have to go. I have to go just to mix around, to break the ice, so that sometimes in the networking you need to influence people so that we are in the same, so that if you want to present something, you have your somebody at your back, right? So yeah, if your ideas, you cannot get people to support your ideas, how can your idea how can you proceed with your idea? Its idea is just an idea. Yeah. So like it or not, you have to throw away the shyness far away. Yeah, if in order for you to progress.
Can I add on? Can I just add on? And I think this certainly they're touching on the issues of personalities. Obviously, I think we recognize that all of us are different. We either due to our innate characteristics or brought up or things like that. And as what most of the panelists has been sharing, I think to these students or perhaps most of the students who feel that they are a bit shy, I think to start off with, get and ensure you have one or two good close friends. Start off with that first, and slowly get involved in many of the activities, either in engineering faculties or perhaps in other faculties as we mentioned. All right, go to the arts faculty. All right, you have a lot of people who are more sociable there, and perhaps you can start off there and enlarge your circles of friends, and slowly I think you can build up your friendship. And I think obviously to start off with, I think one of the important soft skills is also what as you develop will be what they call the interpersonal skill. All right. And that's where I think so-called emotional intelligence can even then be enhanced as well. All right, take part in some of the activities. All right, don't just fall within just the engineering society alone. Take part in some other social activities. All right, get involved with what one of the panelists said that she's very good in dancing and singing or things like that. By all means, do that. All right, and that's where I think
go karaoke.
Get out here, karaoke. Get out of the silence.
Go karaoke. You guys can drink. You drink.
And then you can mix up with people with all kind of personality. So start with that first. All right. Okay.
Yeah, maybe just a quick one. I think I agree with all. We need to be mixing around. Don't worry about shy or whatever. Just be comfortable. Because when you mix with positive energy people, because the people in society are positive with energy, so I think you will also grow with them. Just like I think I know engineer Damesh since 2001, and of course via Engineering Society, and of course by joining IEM itself, I think it's one of a platform as well. That's why I know Dato Lim as well as Tian as well. So I think I mean, you can grow and join the activities, and definitely you'll be able to actually overcome the shyness. And who knows, 10 years down the road, you'll be speaking in this event. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, panelists. There's always a possibility. So yeah, keep your head up. Get out of your comfort zone and start a new thing. Okay, so let's see the next question. Hi, alumni. How can an engineer run a business? So this is already answered clearly. Like IR Yao, he have a consultant companies right now. So that is one of the business that you can run as an engineer. Okay, so next, what is the difference between biomedical engineers working in companies and BME engineers working in hospitals? So perhaps our Dharmesh would like to answer.
Yeah, so I think this is the question targeted for me. So biomedical engineers working in hospitals, you will be at ground zero, I would say. You would see where all the medical devices or healthcare technologies are used in the setting, where you can help patients. And of course, your scope of work that you do as a hospital BME would be different. That means you will be involved basically as technology managers from planning on assessing the technology before it arrives at the hospital to maintaining it during its operations at the time it comes about decommissioning up to replacement planning. you will be involved hands-on, I would say, with what happens with a piece of device, medical device in a hospital. But if you are working in companies out there, again, depends on what type of companies. It could be a consultancy company, providing some sort of hospital planning services or medical equipment planning services. Could be companies which are providing that equipment, vendor companies. So you are doing technical services or even sales and marketing, or maybe you are even upstream, further upstream in the manufacturing, production, or even R&D. So you may be able to probably appreciate parts of that specialized kind of work in those other companies, but you will see the end result in a hospital. So I would think that if you have a chance to work in hospital first to see what is the outcome or the end game, right, and then move on upstream, to those specialized companies, that will give you probably a good overall perspective, right? So because you know how what you do, for example, in research and development, what would be the impact in a hospital. So you can see it will be different. And of course, the thing that you might want to hear is the salary would be different, or the career progression would be different, right? So if you work within a hospital, probably as an engineer, you become a manager, maybe you become a director, or maybe even a COO, right, on operations for a hospital. But if you work in companies out there, then your career progression would be different depending on the industry you're in. Right. So I hope that answers the question briefly.
Okay, thank you, IR Damish. So the next question is actually directed to you. What are the chances of me being accepted into an internship, even in my first or second year, specifically in BME industry?
Right. So I think, unfortunately, the chances are low, not because the industry doesn't want you, but I think the internship places are limited. From what I've seen, that usually it's occupied by those in the third year or final year of their programs. Although it's a good thing. I mean, I do agree that if you can have a chance to do an internship every year, no matter your first year, second year, third year, or final year, please try to do it because it will expose you to what's happening out there. So to me, the chances are low, but please try because some companies do have extra places for you. And if you can try different industries, I mean, not only in the hospital, but you can look at other companies out there who are also involved in the healthcare industry, that will be a good chance for you. So yeah, I would say go ahead and try that.
Okay, thank you, IR Dharmesh. There is still a lot of questions. Unfortunately,
No, it's fortunate. I mean, no problem. I can quickly answer that. I think how a biomedical engineer can start a business is probably very similar to what Engineer Yao also mentioned. You need to have the plan, what you want to do, have the right skill sets, not only technical skills. You need to have business acumen as well, and you need to have access to resources, especially things like financial resources. So I don't think it'll be very different from any other engineer who wants to start a business. I would always suggest that you enter the industry first to find where your target or your focus is going to be. So work a few years before you actually start a business.
Okay, thank you, IR Dharmesh. So from that last answer from IR Dharmesh, we'll mark our end of Q&A, audience and Q&A session. Okay, before we end this forum, I would like to ask...
Sorry, before you end, sorry, can I just take one very interesting question just now? To be a successful engineer. Yeah. So to me, it doesn't matter what you do. In order to be successful, one, you have to have the passion. Second, you must have a vision. Third, you must have mission. Last but not least, you have to believe. So if you don't believe, you won't success. Okay, I mean that's if you want to be successful, you must have that. It doesn't matter in what you do, engineering or whatever, business. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shadatu. So before we end this forum session, Once again, I would like to ask the speakers if they have any final words or advice for attendees for today. So let us start again with Dato Lim.
Yes, obviously, thank you, Joanne, for that. I would say that as a parting advice to all the audience, especially the students of University of Malaya from the engineering faculty. You're there in university, all right, with a purpose to pursue your education and obviously to get your engineering degree. Please study hard, all right, make full use of your time. But at the same time, we also advocate that we would like you to be sociable, to be all-rounded, mix around, and enjoy the facilities in the university, not just in the faculty, but the whole university as well. All right. So study hard, and at the same time, move yourself and mix around with the other faculty members as well. Thank you. And remember to join the IEM student chapter. All right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dato. Don't forget, attendees, please join the IEM student chapter. Okay, so next, I would like to hear from IR Tian. Sorry, IR Tian. Okay. IR Tian, I think we can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Can you hear me? Okay, now it's okay. Okay, what I want to share actually is that I think that first, the future is in your own hand. So please have a strong belief in yourself. And as I always think that UM student is the best student gathered from all around our country. All the top student from Malaysia is coming to University of Malaya. So be confident, be humble, and don't afraid to lose your time in learning. You learn continuous learning. And lastly is that is a time that you can build your own brand. Not only the product have a brand, a person also have a brand. So now you can brand yourself. What kind of brand you want? You want to be a hardworking, you want to be smart, intelligent, or good decision maker. So choose your brand and then shape yourself to suit the brand. So in future, when you come out to work, that is your brand. Yeah. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, IR Tian. Next, I will listen for IR Yao.
I think it's just a short note to all students. I think most of you are the first year students. I think study hard, study well, and of course also enjoy your university life, like what Dato' Lim has mentioned. And definitely, I think today's advice from us, the seniors, I think hopefully will be very useful to you, and grow yourself in the university. And this is the beginning of a new chapter in your journey in the life, and hope that by end of the 4th year of your study, when you graduate, you'll be someone that you have learned things in the university and be someone different when you graduate from the university. And definitely, we hope to see you in the industry, or even in the industry in the coming years. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, IR Yao. And moving on, let's hear from IR Darmish.
Hi. So what I want to share is that I think all of the graduate or the graduates, undergraduates would probably hear is that you need to develop your interpersonal skills, your communication skills, all that. I think this is something which you're going to be hearing all the time from everyone, including us. But what I want to say is that don't wait for the university or the faculty to develop this for you. Go start doing it yourself now. If you feel that this is a skill that you need to pick it up yourself. Start reading more, start getting involved in external activities more, where you are tested for the skills, because the university can't teach you everything. The faculty doesn't have time to teach you everything, especially within the 4 years that you're going to be there. So take things yourself. Start doing things yourself, so that by the time you graduate, 4 years time, you will have that ready with you.
Okay, thank you, IR Darmish. And last but not least, let's hear from our last panelist, Miss Shaidatu.
I thought you forgot about me. You need to cry. So anyway, I think whatever that mentioned by panel, all the panels are very useful. I mean, I don't have to add. What I want to add is respect others. I think in whatever you do, you must have that respect. Yeah, you know, respect is that's one of the values that you need to have, and purpose of life. So I think you need to start thinking of, because normally when you have that purpose, that will drive everything, yeah, what you do. But if you don't have that purpose, then that's where I don't know what to do lah, so have that purpose in life, what you want to start thinking. And then belief, yeah, I think that's what Tian already mentioned. Yeah, last but not least, is change begins with me. I think I've told, I regard you guys like my son, right? My children. I always mention that change begins with me, because nobody can change you, only yourself. Even when you wake up in the morning, yeah, you actually have to force yourself to wake up, right? So nobody can do that unless you yourself, yeah. So I end with that, because once you can master that, and that's will self-motivated you. And one more tips I always do, I always look at myself or evaluate myself every 2 years or 4 years. Yeah. If I every 2 years, then I'll check, do I like this work or not? So if I don't have choice, maybe because of the money, I have to stay. But how can I make myself better? Yeah, so that you won't be stuck in what you do, yeah, so that you won't bored in what you do. So again, it goes back to change begins with me. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Shaidatu. Again, thank you so much to our brilliant panelists today for sharing their thoughts and experience, as well as answering our questions. Your sharing will definitely be useful to all of our students, especially in preparing themselves for the reality of working life in the future. Now back to our MC, Shiva.
Sorry, I always have something. Sorry, last night I was talking to this is supposed to be like a chit chat chill session, right? So last night I spoke to an engineer, a friend, I would say, from another, not from university, from but overseas graduates. Yeah. So what he can see the trend, that the new engineers that come into Shell, because I is a fellow colleague, it's a Shell colleague. He says that he can see the pattern 2016 onwards, yeah, the graduates that come into so-called Shell is manja-manja, yeah, tak boleh marah-marah. Okay, so you guys, whoever, and then masuk kerja je terus nak jadi boss, yeah, not good attitude. Okay, and that work ethic. Nowadays you are exposed to TikTok. What? Yeah. So how can you focus with your work if you are playing with all these, what do you call it nowadays, the trend, yeah, doing TikTok or whatever. So work ethic is very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shaidatu. So thank you so much, Joy, for being such a brilliant moderator for our forum today, and not to forget our wonderful panelists who are willing to spend their time with us. Thank you so much. We hope everyone enjoyed today's forum and managed to gain more insights on engineering life. A reminder to all our attendees, kindly to scan the QR code on the screen and fill in the feedback form. Next, kindly scan the QR code on the screen to join the LinkedIn Workshop WhatsApp channel. For your information, LinkedIn Workshop will be held on 31st October, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Before we end our session, I would like to request all the participants as well as the panelists to turn on your camera for a quick photography session. Please do not leave the meeting yet because we have a couple of important announcements to make.
Hello everyone. Hope everyone is ready. In count of 3, I will snapshots. 1, 2, and 3. Hey, one more time. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Following are the upcoming events by TF21. Even though the registration for the esports is already closed, you can still watch and support your friends in the final round on the stated date. Meanwhile, you can still register for LinkedIn workshop as mentioned earlier and the Engineering Festival closing ceremony which will be held on 3rd November using our link tree.
Forgot to special thanks to the community members. Job well done. Yeah, and yeah. So hope to see you guys next year with new faces organizing the session. No more Joanne to do as a moderator, or Vince. Yeah, because last year also I think it's Vince who coordinating. Yeah, maybe new people.
Thank you, Mr. Dato. Okay, so following that, here are some limited edition merchandise from TF21. If you're interested, you can again scan the QR code on the screen to place your order. With this, the forum has come to an end. We would like to thank everyone for participating. Goodbye and have a nice day ahead. Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Wish you all a very best school year for your career and your studies.
Hello everyone. Can anyone hear me? I think we can stop. Okay. Hello, Michelle. Okay,
Yes,
I think we can stop sharing the slides already. Okay. Oh, I think the other panelist has left.